Hello and welcome to O'Plattery Videos, here to help you study, learn and succeed. Today's video is all about paying for electricity. Before we can work out how much each individual item costs to run, we've got to know what the average cost of electricity is. And in the UK this is worked out in units. So our average cost per unit is at the moment 14.3 pence. Some can be more, some can be less, but on average it's 14.3p. This will give us the cost of running any item when we work it through. It won't include the standing charge. That's an extra charge that we have to pay to have electricity for any period of time. So there are two equations that we need to know. Our first equation is that our units of electricity, and the units that we use are kilowatt hours. So this will actually tell me what I've got to have. I need to have my power. That rating can often be found on an appliance. That has to be measured in kilowatts. It's multiplied by the time. Well, you can see there, the time is in hours. So that means if I'm given either of these in a different unit, I've got to transfer them across. Frequently, I'm given time in minutes. If that's the case, I do the minutes divided by 60, and that will give me the time in hours. I'm often then given the power in watts, and if I've got that, I divide by 1,000 to give me kilowatts. Exactly like meters and kilometers. My second equation, I've now worked out the number of units, so my second one's going to give me the total cost. So the total cost is my number of units which I've calculated here, so that is in kilowatt hours, and then I multiply that by the cost per unit. So the cost per unit we've got at the moment is 14.3p. This is usually in pence. So thinking about this, well, let's go for something that we all use quite frequently, our phone. So a mobile phone, and obviously our phones need charging. So let's assume we charge it for 10 minutes. So a 10-minute charge. A mobile phone charger uses approximately 5 watts. So already you can see I've got things in units that I don't want them in. So I want my power in kilowatts and I want my time in minutes. So to get my time in minutes, what I need to do is I need to divide my minutes by 60 to give me my time in hours. So that gives me hours there. I've got 5 watts, I want it in kilowatts. I divide by 1,000 and that would give me this in kilowatts. So my calculation then is going to be 5 over 1,000. There's my kilowatts. Then multiplied by the time, 10 over 60, because I need to move it into hours from minutes. This gives me that number of units bit. If I'm feeling confident, I can do this as a one-step calculation. My number of units, which is there, multiplied by the cost per unit. My cost per unit I've given as 14.3p. So I can do a one-step calculation. Number of units from those two multiplied by the cost per unit. That will give me 0.012 pence. Realistically, about a penny for a 10-minute charge. Okay, then you know what? It's time to relax. I'm going to go and watch some TV. And there are 2 programs I really want to watch. So it's 2 hours. An average LCD TV, well, that draws 450 watts. So my time in hours, brilliant. I don't have to do anything to that. My power is in watts, however, rather than kilowatts. So I'm going to divide by 1,000 to get my power in kilowatts. So this time my calculation. So Power, 450 over 1000. Multiplied by the time in hours, which is 2. Again, that will give me my number of units. My one-step calculation, number of units times cost per unit, so times 14.3. That will then give me a total of 12.87 pence. One decimal place, 12.9p. But frequently they ask for this in pounds, so if I'm going from pence to pounds, I divide by 100. That means that my cost in pounds for my 2 hours of TV watching is 13 pence, 0.13 pounds. So what are the important things for me to remember? I've got to remember my 2 equations. So here's my first equation. That's important to remember. I've got to learn this, I've got to know it if I've got a question on paying for electricity. Equation 1. Units in kilowatt hours are power in kilowatts times time in hours. My second important thing, again, it's another equation. So this time my equation is the total cost is the number of units in kilowatts multiplied by the cost per unit. Cost per unit usually given to you in a question because they're going to actually make that up in an exam scenario. So there we go, paying for electricity. 2 equations, calculations, make sure we've got our units right, kilowatts and hours. Without kilowatts and hours, we're going to get this part wrong because we're not going to be in kilowatt hours. So there we go, paying for electricity. Thank you for watching Oplattery videos and see you all soon.